I'm meteorologist John Marshall with your midday Saturday update on Hurricane Irma. The good news is the hurricane has weakened to a Category 3 storm with winds of 125 miles an hour, and it continues to move to the west at 9 miles an hour. Again, the satellite loop is not as impressive as it was this time yesterday and the days prior to that, but the storm continues to move to the west, and it's beginning to take that northwesterly turn. The hurricane interacted somewhat with the landmass of Cuba, and that is weakened the storm considerably to winds of 125 miles an hour. The storm right now is located 175 miles southeast of Key West, Florida. There are the Keys right there. So the storm, even though it is weakened, folks, it is still forecast to become a Category 4 storm with winds of 140 miles an hour. So here's the southern Florida peninsula. They're getting wind gusts in squalls up to tropical storm force with heavy rain bands working in around this huge storm. And what we've been talking about, would it hit the landmass or skirt the northern coast? It has. And the European model nailed it, this track, out of all the computer models, the best of them all. I mean, not actually to the mile, but did the best job. So kudos to the European model. And right now we're going to take a look at actually Irma's precipitation in the form of rain, obviously, showing up on the Key West radar. Here is Key West, southern Florida, Miami. There is the eye of Irma, still a well-defined eye. The eye is 15 nautical miles in diameter, continues to skirt the northern coast of Cuba, and will get out over these waters. Now, over the Keys, you can see they've been getting some rain bands, but look at this, just skirting through these scattered islands of the north coast of Cuba. Didn't really make landfall, continues on that west-northwest track and then to the northwest, and the bands, as we said, continue to spiral around this large storm, and every now and then in southern Florida they get hit with squalls. There's some intense squalls right there toward portions of Naples and down through portions of the Keys. So again, be on the lookout if you live in southern Florida for on and off squalls with winds increasing in gusts up to 40 and 50 miles an hour. So all in all, the track continues to shift a little bit to the west. We've been talking about this track. These are the tropical computer guidance models. And I've been saying this all along, folks. You cannot follow the exact line. People take that line for verbatim, and it's just really what you shouldn't be doing. You know, we keep talking about that cone of uncertainty, and I will show you that. But right now, what happened was the area of high pressure was just strong enough to nudge it, as the European model forecasted to do, grazing the north shore of Cuba, the coastline there. So it continued to the west-northwest. And the models now take this storm ever so close to, let's say, between Key West and Marathon as a Category 4 hurricane. The water temperatures in between the Keys and northern Cuba are between 88 and 90 degrees. That is bath water. So once this storm just starts turning to north and west, and that will happen in the next, let's say, 6 hours, the entire eye wall will be over that bathtub-like water, and that will cause this storm to intensify. All the computer models show this. It is now a Category 3 at this midday hour on your Saturday, expected to become a Category 4, as you can see, very rapidly this afternoon to this evening. Winds, as it approaches the Keys, sustained at 140 miles an hour. So will it be a 140 mile an hour sustained storm? Possibly. Etched in stone 100%? Absolutely not. But we are forecasting to strengthen to a Category 4, which is above 130 mile an hour storm. Now, this is 8 a.m. Sunday morning. Somewhere in the Keys, it is forecast to cross it. Again, do not concentrate on that line, but on the cone of uncertainty, which continues to narrow as we get closer and closer to the event, closer and closer time into the time frame where this storm will affect Florida. The cone of uncertainty does shrink. It looks as though this storm will now take a path somewhere just west of Florida City into Florida Bay as a Category 4 hurricane. Will it actually get on the coast near Naples or just stay offshore? Big question. It can be anywhere in this yellow cone. Obviously in the middle, if you obviously have to be a mathematician to do this, but that's where the line is. So again, don't concentrate on the exact line, but it does look like this storm will maintain its intensity for several hours as it heads up the southwest coast of Florida and then approach the Fort Myers area, somewhere in that area, and then continue. If it just stays grazing the coast like it is on Cuba, it will maintain its intensity, drop a little bit to a Category 3. This has changed because the track has changed. Yesterday, we thought, and the computer guidance suggested it would be farther inland, weakening the storm. Now, with that westerly turn being, phone call, solicitor, northwesterly turn being delayed, it's going to be farther west by maybe 40 or 50 miles. Again, the track is not etched in stone. Do not concentrate on the exact line. That's the middle of the path of the cone of uncertainty. The big news is this is a strong hurricane and will gain strength as it gets into the Florida Straits later tonight, making some kind of landfall in the Keys tomorrow morning, and then coming up as a Category 4. Will it be inland, on the coast, or just offshore? Folks, right now, everybody in the state of Florida will most likely see winds gusting to between 60 and 80 miles an hour, okay? As this thing, and it's going to be large in size. Hurricane force winds extend outward 70 miles right now from the center. So if you put this storm right there, 70 miles, it's pretty close to the East Coast. If you're on the yellow side of the eastern side of this cone of uncertainty, it's the entire state. So just remember, East Coast of Florida, I know some of you are exhaling. Just never let your guard down until a hurricane gets north of your latitude. Believe me, they have minds of their own, and we've seen it with Irma the last 24 hours. Again, the atmosphere is constantly moving. There's molecules, trillions of them. Forecasting those trillions of molecules in meteorology, it's impossible. But the forecasting has gotten better, although there's still a margin of error within that yellow cone. A hurricane warning is now in effect for the entire state of Florida from Key West all the way up to the Georgia-Florida border around to the Big Bend area. A hurricane warning. Folks, from my arm, the entire state is expecting some type of hurricane force wind gusts. The strongest and most devastating part of the storm will be just to the northeastern quadrant of it, which is a lot of west coastal Florida, if this cone of uncertainty stays as it is. Okay? Obviously, storm surge. The Keys are expecting a storm surge up to 10 feet. Southwestern Florida may see the worst storm surge with a storm surge up to 12 feet. That is the biggest killer in hurricanes, the tidal surge coming in. Okay? And obviously heavy rainfall between 10 and 20 inches. This has been an incredible scenario with Irma. Hopefully it doesn't strengthen and peters out. But what we have in the computer guidance that we go with, we have to go with what we see, and this is what we see right now. So again, a hurricane warning in effect for the entire state of Florida to the south of my arm. Folks, things can change a little bit, but we're getting closer and closer in time to landfall, which is tomorrow morning, somewhere along the Keys. Could it even stay a little farther west? Could it nudge even more west? It's a possibility. Again, cone of uncertainty, stick with that. East coast of Florida, not out of the woods until this thing goes north of you. Period, end of story. Okay? You can always get an updated forecast at www.johnmarshallweather.com. And obviously for the weather here in the New York City tri-state area, it is an absolutely gorgeous weekend. Temperatures would be within a few degrees of 70. That's about 5 to 7 degrees below average. And I'll continue to update the situation as conditions warrant. And basically that radar down in Key West, Florida really is amazing. We're picking up the eye from Key West, which the storm is now 175 miles southeast. Storm means business, folks. I know it's weakened to a Category 3. Absolutely, that's good news. It's not a 5. But it's a forecast, as you can see right there, it has a nice circulation to strengthen in the next 5 to 10 hours. Again, have a great Saturday. Those down in Florida, we are feeling for you. Okay? We are definitely feeling for you. Stay safe and keep tuned to this no-nonsense, no-hype weather guy right here And again, www.johnmarshallweather.com for the very latest. Have a great afternoon.